The storm hit like a betrayal I couldn't outrun, burying the world in white fury just as my heart cracked open under the weight of a promise I never meant to keep. I stumbled through the cabin door, Sophie Harlan, 28 and unraveling, my engagement ring catching the dim lantern light like a cruel accusation, while outside, the Rockies swallowed every escape route whole. And there she was, Elena, her arms outstretched like fate's last mercy, pulling me into a warmth that felt like home, even as the lie on my finger burned cold against her skin. I remember the exact second it started, that pull toward her, like gravity shifting under my feet in the thin mountain air. We'd met only hours before, strangers thrown together by a canceled flight out of Denver and a shared rental on this godforsaken peak in Colorado's backcountry. I was fleeing the suffocating rehearsals for my wedding to Mark, solid, predictable Mark, the man my family adored, the one whose proposal I'd accepted in a haze of obligation after years of straight girl expectations. He was back in Chicago, probably polishing his vows, oblivious to the storm raging inside me long before the one outside. Elena, though? She was wildfire in human form, a freelance photographer in her late 20s, all curves and quiet intensity, her dark hair tied back in a loose braid that begged to be undone. She'd driven up from Taos for a shoot on winter wildlife, but the blizzard trapped us both in this creaky A-frame, miles from the nearest plow. We'd barely exchanged names over lukewarm coffee when the power flickered and died, leaving us to the mercy of the fireplace she'd coaxed back to life with logs she'd chopped herself that morning. "Sophie," she'd said, her voice like smoked honey, handing me a mug that warmed my chilled fingers. "You look like you're carrying the whole damn world." Her green eyes, deep, knowing, held mine a beat too long, and something in me fractured. I laughed it off, blaming the altitude, but as the wind howled against the eaves, I found myself spilling fragments. The job I hated in marketing, the parents who'd mapped my life since birth, the ring that felt like a shackle disguised as sparkle. She listened without pity, just nodded, her full lips curving in a way that made my pulse stutter. Elena Vargas, 30 if she was a day, with skin like sun-kissed earth and a laugh that echoed off the timber walls, had her own ghosts. Divorced young from a man who'd never seen her, she'd reinvented herself chasing light through lenses, from the red rocks of New Mexico to these icy spires. "Freedom's a choice, mi amor," she murmured, poking at the embers. "But it costs everything." The endearment slipped out casual, yet it landed like a spark on dry tinder. I stared at the ring, twisting it, feeling the ghost of Mark's hand sliding it on 3 months ago at that rooftop dinner, everyone toasting our perfect match. But here, in this cabin suspended between heaven and hell, perfection felt like poison. By nightfall, the snow had piled to the windowsills, turning the world into a silent tomb. We rationed the wood, shared a pot of chili from her cooler that tasted like sin under the circumstances, spicy, unapologetic. She told stories of her abuela's kitchen in Santa Fe, hands gesturing wide, calloused from camera straps and climbing gear, and I watched, mesmerized, as the firelight danced across her collarbone, exposed by the V of her flannel shirt. My own clothes, prim cashmere sweater, pearl earrings, felt absurdly out of place, like relics from a life that didn't fit anymore. "What are you running from, really?" she asked, leaning back on the rug, her knee brushing mine accidentally on purpose. The question hung, heavy as the drifts outside. I could have lied, spun some tale about cold feet or family drama. Instead, the words tumbled. Myself. The version everyone else wrote. Tears pricked, hot and unwelcome, and she didn't flinch. She just reached out, thumb brushing my cheek, and in that touch, the dam broke. We talked until the fire died to coals, about the girls I'd crushed on in college, buried under frat parties and denial, about the prayers I'd whispered in empty churches, begging God to make me normal, about Mark's gentle insistence that I was enough, as is, when deep down, I knew I was starving for more. Elena shared her own scars, the coming out that shattered her conservative Catholic family, the lover who'd left her for safety, the solitude she'd learned to love until it ached. Dawn crept in gray and muffled, the storm unrelenting, but inside, a fragile peace settled. We boiled snow for coffee, laughed over burnt toast on the camp stove, and for the first time in years, I breathed without the weight of performance. Elena showed me her photos on her battered laptop, bats wheeling against desert sunsets, elk silhouetted in alpine glows, and her passion lit her up, made her glow like the woman I'd glimpsed in dreams I never admitted. "See this," she said, pointing to a shot of two deer locked in gentle combat, antlers touching like lovers' fingers. Struggles where the beauty hides. Her hand lingered on the screen, inches from mine, and when our eyes met, the air thickened. That afternoon, as the wind screamed, we bundled in every layer we owned and shoveled the porch, snow flying in glittering arcs. She was strong, effortless, muscles flexing under her parka, while I puffed and cursed, city soft from desk life. "You're tougher than you think, Soph," she teased, dumping a powdery load over my boot, sparking a chase that ended with us collapsing against the cabin wall, breathless and tangled, faces flushed. Her breath ghosted my neck, warm against the chill, and I froze, not from cold, but from the thunder in my chest. "Elena," I whispered, half warning, half plea. She pulled back just enough to search my face, her gaze stripping me bare. "Tell me to stop," she said, voice rough as the bark on the pines. But I didn't. God help me, I didn't. The kiss came like the storm itself, fierce, inevitable, crashing over us in the blue-shadowed lee of the cabin. Her lips were soft, tasting of salt and pine, her hands framing my face as if I were fragile, precious. I melted into it, fingers clutching her scarf, the ring forgotten in the fire of finally claiming what I denied. It was messy, desperate, snowflakes melting on our lashes as we pressed closer, her body yielding and commanding all at once. When we broke apart, gasping, the world hadn't shifted, but mine had. "This is insane," I murmured, forehead to hers, guilt clawing up my throat. Mark's face flashed, smiling, trusting, and I recoiled. "I can't. I'm engaged." Elena's eyes darkened, not with anger, but understanding. "Engaged doesn't mean owned, Sophie. But if it's what you want." She trailed off, stepping back, leaving a chasm wider than the drifts. We retreated inside, the silence heavier than before, the fire we'd rebuilt crackling like accusations. I paced, twisting the ring, phone dead in my pocket, no signal to call for rescue or confession. Night fell again, and sleep evaded us, both pretending to doze on opposite sides of the rug. But in the witching hour, when the wind lulled to a moan, she crossed the room on silent feet, kneeling beside me. "Talk to me," she urged, voice a lifeline. And so I did, unraveling the spool of my life. The golden girl from suburban Illinois, valedictorian, sorority sweetheart, the one who dated quarterbacks and dreamed of picket fences to please mom and dad. Mark fit the script, successful lawyer, church on Sundays, talks of kids that made my stomach knot. But the dreams that woke me sweating weren't of him. They were of soft curves and stolen glances in locker rooms, of a world where love didn't come with a checklist. Elena listened, her hand finding mine, thumb tracing circles that soothed and ignited. "You've been surviving," she said softly, "not living. What if this storm is your sign?" Her words pierced, and tears came unbidden. She gathered me close then, arms a sanctuary, my head on her chest listening to the steady drum of her heart. The ring pressed between us, a cold intruder, but she didn't pull away. We stayed like that until exhaustion claimed us, tangled in blankets by the hearth, the line between comfort and craving blurring in the dark. Morning brought no thaw, only deeper snow and a howling gale that shook the beams. We were cut off, truly for how long no telling. Elena radioed the ranger station on her old ham setup, static crackling with warnings of impassable roads for days. "We're in it now," she said with a wry smile, but her eyes held mine, searching for the woman who'd kissed her back. I wanted to be that woman, free and fierce, but fear not. What if this was just isolation's fever dream? What if I ruined everything for a mirage? To distract, we played cards by lantern light, gin rummy, her cheating shamelessly with winks that made me laugh despite myself. Stories flowed easier now. Her first crush on a tomboy in high school, the kiss behind the bleachers that tasted like rebellion, my hidden notebook of poems about her, never named, buried in a drawer back home. With each hand dealt, walls crumbled. By evening, as we shared a makeshift dinner of canned beans and jerky, her foot nudged mine under the table, deliberate. "Sophie," she said, setting down her fork, "that kiss. It wasn't nothing." My heart hammered. "It was everything," I admitted, voice small. "But Mark, he's good. He deserves." She silenced me with a look, fierce and tender. "Deserves honesty, not your sacrifice. And you? You deserve to burn me soul, not smolder." The endearment, my son, undid me. I stood, crossing to her in 2 strides, pulling her up into my arms. This kiss was slower, exploratory, her hands sliding under my sweater to trace the curve of my spine, sending shivers that had nothing to do with cold. We explored each other like a map to buried treasure, lips on necks, fingers in hair, breaths mingling in whispers of want. The ring slipped off at some point, tucked into my pocket like a shed skin, and for the first time, I felt weightless. But passion's afterglow brought shadows. Curled against her, her fingers idly stroking my arm, doubt crept in. What happens when the snow melts? I murmured into her shoulder, inhaling her scent of cedar and smoke. Elena tensed, then sighed. "We face it. Together if you want. Or you go back, and this becomes the story that sets you free either way." Her vulnerability cracked me open wider, this woman who'd built armor from heartbreak now offering it up. I kissed her collarbone, tasting salt, promising silently to be brave. The 3rd day dawned with a deceptive calm, sun piercing the clouds to diamond the snowfields. We ventured out, snowshoes creaking over crust, to a frozen overlook where the range unfolded like God's own canvas, jagged peaks piercing azure sky, valleys cradling secrets. Elena snapped photos, her lens finding poetry in the ordinary, a pine bent under white burden, steam rising from a geothermal vent like Earth's sigh. I watched her, this force of nature, and realized love wasn't a script but a leap. Hand in hers, gloves off despite the bite, we stood at the edge, wind whipping our scarves. "I love you," I said, the words foreign yet true, born in this frozen crucible. She turned, eyes shining. "Te amo, Sophie. From the first crack in your smile." Back in the cabin, we made love properly, not rushed, but reverent, by daylight filtering through iced panes. Her body was a revelation, soft where I'd imagined hard edges in my fantasies, strong in ways that grounded me. We moved like waves on a hidden shore, laughter mingling with gasps, her name a prayer on my lips. Afterward, wrapped in her coat, we dreamed aloud, of road trips through the Southwest, her camera and my words capturing sunsets, of a life without rings that bound wrong. Yet reality intruded that night, a faint crackle on the radio. Plows inbound by morning. Panic surged. Mark had texted before the signal died, worried, loving, planning our honeymoon in Maui. Guilt twisted like a knife. "I have to tell him," I said, voice breaking as Elena held me. She nodded, fierce. "You do. And whatever comes, I'm here." We spent the hours in vigil, her stories of resilience a balm, how she'd rebuilt after loss, found family in chosen souls. By false dawn, resolve hardened. This wasn't escape, it was arrival. The plow's rumble shattered the silence at noon, yellow beast churning white to mud. Elena and I stood on the porch, hands linked, as the driver waved from his cab. Roads open to Breckenridge, shuttle from there. Freedom or chains. I hugged her tight, memorizing the feel of her against me. "Chicago," I whispered. "I'll end it clean. Then come find you." Her kiss was salt-edged, promise and pain. "I'll be waiting, me more. Shoot your truth." The drive down was blur, shuttle to airport, red-eye to O'Hare, city lights mocking the wild beauty I'd left. Mark met me at baggage, arms open, face alight. God, Soph, I was losing my mind. We drove home through familiar streets, his hand on my knee, but it felt like lead. That night, over takeout Thai, words stuck. "We need to talk," I finally said, ring sliding across the table like a renounced vow. His shock bloomed slow, confusion, hurt, the raw plea in his eyes. "Is it someone else?" I nodded, tears flowing.
"Not like you think. It's me."
"Who I am." The confession poured, the hidden loves, the awakening in snow, Elena's name a talisman. He listened, shattering quietly, but no rage, just grief for the future we'd scripted. "I loved the Sophie you showed me," he said, voice hollow. "But you deserve the one who's real." Days blurred into weeks of fallout. Family calls laced with disbelief, Mom's sobs over what went wrong, Dad's silence a deeper cut. I quit my job, the corporate cage too small now, and started writing, raw essays on identity, love's wild edges, submitted to outlets that paid in exposure, not security. Elena's emails were lifelines, photos of thawing canyons, words like, "proud of your fire." 3 months in, I booked a flight to Albuquerque, heart pounding like the first storm. She met me at the gate, same green eyes, but softer now, a tentative smile. "Sophie Harlan, runaway bride." We laughed, collapsing into embrace, airport bustle fading. Her truck carried us south, windows down to spring winds, radio crooning oldies. In Taos, her adobe home welcomed, walls hung with prints of our mountains, a corner office for my laptop. Nights were ours, cooking pozole, dancing barefoot to mariachi, her body a map I'd memorized. But scars lingered, my parents' distance, Mark's occasional check-ins turning civil. Elena's family, too, a work in progress, her mother's tentative visit, rosary beads clutched, evolving to questions over coffee. Summer brought heat and growth. A writer's retreat in the Sangre de Cristos where I read my pieces, voice steady, crowd nodding in recognition. Elena captured it all, her exhibit in a local gallery featuring Sanctuary, a series of us, blurred and intimate, evoking the cabin's ghost. Sales trickled, enough for a down payment on land near hers. Fall painted the aspens gold, and on a hike to a hidden hot spring, steam rising like our first breaths, I knelt, not with a ring, but words. "Be my always, Elena." No scripts, just us. She pulled me up, kissing away doubts. "Yes, me soul." 1,000 times. Winter returned, softer now. Snow falling gentle on our roof. We built a cabin of our own, smaller, in the foothills, timber and stone, a fireplace for stories. Holidays with her siblings, raucous and warm. Video calls to my folks, thawing inch by inch. Mark found his path, a new partner, quieter joys, and we shared a coffee once, toasting second chances. In the end, love wasn't the storm that trapped me, but the light that freed. Deep in those snowy mountains, she held me close, ring or no, and taught me. The heart knows its north, even in whiteout. And following it, that's the truest homecoming. The first holiday season after felt like testing fragile ice. Elena's family gathering in their sprawling ranch house outside Santa Fe, adobe walls strung with luminarias that glowed like captured stars against the December chill. I arrived with nerves jangling, a pecan pie clutched like a peace offering, my wool coat dusted from the drive. Elena's hand in mine steadied, her squeeze saying we're in this. Her mother, Rosa, met us at the door. 50-something, silver threading her black hair, apron dusted with flour from tamales. Her hug was stiff at first, eyes flicking to the absence on my finger, but then she pulled back, cupping my face. "Mija, You make her smile like I haven't seen since she was a girl chasing fireflies. Welcome. The house buzzed, cousins wrestling over football on the TV, uncles debating politics in rapid Spanish, kids darting underfoot with sticky fingers from a toll. Elena's brother, Mateo, clapped my back too hard, grinning. Heard you ditched a suit for snow caves. Respect. Laughter eased the knot in my chest, and as we helped in the kitchen, chopping onions that stung like old regrets, stories wove us in. Rosa shared tales of Elena's rebellious youth, sneaking out for stargazing, camera in tow, returning with prints that captured the night's soul. She always saw what others missed, she said, glancing at me with a knowing tilt. Like you, Sophie. The quiet fire. Dinner was chaos and communion. Tables groaning under pozole, enchiladas, flan that jiggled like joy. Toasts rang out, to health, to love, to the stubborn hearts that bend but don't break. Elena's fork traced mine under the cloth, a secret Morse. Later, by the fire pit in the courtyard, stars pricking the velvet sky, we slipped away. Her lips found mine in the shadows, tasting of cinnamon and promise.
See?
They love you already. But doubt whispered, my own family, scattered like ash after the wedding cancellation. Mom's emails were polite frost, Dad's a void. Give them time, Elena murmured, but time felt like a thief. January dragged me back to writing, holed up in our Taos rental, a quirky casita with Vegas overhead and a view of sagebrush rolling to the mountains. My essays gained traction. One on The Ring I Returned went viral on a queer-lit site, comments flooding with stories mirroring mine, women emerging from closets lined with heteronormative lies. Invites trickled, podcasts, panels. Elena captured headshots in the golden hour, her lens turning vulnerability to strength. You're a force, Soph, she'd say, reviewing proofs. But success stung, a Chicago Lit Fest called, old colleagues whispering invites laced with curiosity. Come back? Show the prodigal's return. The flight home was a descent into memory, O'Hare's hum, the L train rattling past landmarks that once anchored me. Mom met me at the hotel, her face lined deeper, eyes wary. Over coffee in a sterile lobby, words faltered. We failed you, she started, surprising me. Pushed our dreams, not yours. Tears welled. I gripped her hand. You didn't know. I hid it. Dad joined later, awkward in his button-down, but his grunt of, proud you're honest now, cracked the ice. We walked the lakefront, wind off Michigan whipping scarves, sharing fragments, his own unspoken regrets, a college buddy lost to AIDS in the 80s, the silence that followed. Love's not a checklist, kiddo, he said, arm around my shoulders. It wasn't absolution, but a bridge. Elena picked me up at the airport, her truck idling curbside, grin splitting wide. How'd it go? Over burgers at our diner haunt, I spilled, the tentative warmth, the ache of years lost. She listened, then pulled an envelope from her glove box, acceptance to a Santa Fe gallery for a joint show. Your words, my images. Sanctuary expands. Excitement bubbled, but under it a tremor. Mark's wedding invite arrived days later, summer, vineyard in Napa. Friends always scrawled in his neat hand. I went, alone, Elena's blessing a soft ache. The ceremony was beautiful, him beaming at his groom, an architect with kind eyes and a laugh like bells. At the reception we talked, really talked, over cake. Happier, he asked. Freer, I replied. You? His nod held peace. Turns out I was performing too. Spring unfurled in riots of color. Irises pushing through our garden soil, Elena's hands dirt-streaked as she planted chiles. We broke ground on the cabin site, a leased plot in the Carson National Forest, permit battles won with community letters, queer allies rallying. Hammers echoed weekends, blisters bonding us. One dusk, as rafters rose against peach sky, a ranger stopped by, bearded, wry. Heard this is the Vargas Harlan love nest. About time we had more like it up here. His wink lingered, a nod to the old days when such builds drew sneers. But shadows crept. Elena's ex, Carla, surfaced via email, jealous barbs disguised as concern, dredging insecurities. She'll tire of the drama, it read. Nights, Elena tossed, murmuring old fights. I held her then, reversing roles, whispering, "You're my wild, my steady. No ghosts bigger than us." We hiked to clear heads, up to Williams Lake, where trout flashed silver under surface. At the shore, skipping stones, she confessed, "Fear of my city's pull, the life I'd half left. What if Chicago calls louder?" I knelt in the mud, water-lapping boots. "It doesn't. You are my compass." The kiss that followed was fierce, reclaiming, birds wheeling overhead like witnesses. Summer heat baked the earth, our cabin framing up under a relentless sun. I facilitated workshops now, queer writing circles in community centers, voices blooming like desert flowers after rain. One evening, a young woman, 19, trembling, shared her first poem, words raw as my own once were. "You're brave," I told her, echoing Elena's gifts. Back home, sweat slick, we showered together, her soapy hands mapping freckles. "Teaching them saves you too," she said, towel-drying my hair. Intimacy deepened, lazy mornings in sheets tangled like vines, her fingers tracing tattoos we'd inked, matching mountains on ribs, symbols of ascent. Fall's harvest brought Rose's visit, suitcases bulging with recipes. Weekend salsa in the casita kitchen, steam fogging windows, her stories turning mentor. "Love like yours," she said, sealing jars. "It's the kind that feeds souls." Dad called midweek, voice gruff. "Coming west for Thanksgiving. Bring that girl who stole you." Laughter choked me. Progress, hard won. Elena's gallery opening loomed, nerves electric. The night before, we rehearsed toasts over wine, her in a silk blouse that hugged curves, me in slacks that felt like armor shed. The show was magic, walls alive with our collab, my prose etched beside her prints, cabin confessions, drawing murmurs. A critic cornered us. Raw, revolutionary, love as revolution. Sails hummed, champagne flowed, but the Real win was Rose's tear-streaked pride, Dad's nod from the corner. Later, in bed, Elena traced my ring finger, bare, healed. "Ours now," she whispered, slipping on a simple band of turquoise and silver, cool as mountain streams. "Promise ring. No rush, just forever." Winter whispered back, first flakes dusting the half-built cabin like sugar. We celebrated solstice with bonfire, friends from the circles, guitars strumming folk tunes of outcasts finding kin. Under blankets, Elena's head on my lap, stars wheeling, I read a new piece. From whiteout to wildfire, our story veiled in verse. Applause warmed deeper than flames. Mark's holiday card arrived, photo of him and his husband at a tree farm note. To new chapters. I penned back, grateful for the plot twist. As snow deepened, we winterized the site, visions of hearth and home solidifying. One stormbound night, power out, lanterns flickering, Elena pulled a box from under the bed, letters, bound in twine. "Wrote these in the cabin, every doubt you chased away." I read by light, words like mirrors, her fears, my strengths, love's alchemy. Tears fell. We made love slow, reverent, bodies speaking what ink couldn't. Dawn broke clear, plows unnecessary in our insulated world. The year turned, and with it us, stronger, scarred, sacred. In that cabin, deep in snowy mountains, she held me close, no rings to divide. We'd forged a path, twisty as switchbacks, but true. And in every drift, every thaw, the lesson echoed. Love isn't found in fitting molds, but in melting them down to gold. Come spring, the cabin stood sturdy, a sanctuary of reclaimed wood and river rock, windows framing the evergreen sentinels that had weathered centuries. Elena and I moved in piecemeal, My bookshelves crammed with dog-eared Audre Lorde and Adrienne Rich, her darkroom tucked in a loft, scent of developer mingling with pine sap. The first night, sleeping on a mattress hauled up the trail, stars visible through the unfinished roof, felt like Genesis. "Our blank page," she murmured, her breath warm on my neck as we tangled under quilts. But blank pages fill fast. My writing career crested, a book deal for Unringing the Silence, essays on queer awakenings, with Elena's photos interspersed like visual poems. Deadlines loomed, words pouring in fevered bursts at the clawfoot tub-turned desk. She captured the process, me mid-sentence, hair wild, coffee mug steaming, intimate exposures that made the manuscript breathe. Yet pressure built, agents buzzing for tours, my inner critic hissing imposter. One dawn, after a sleepless rewrite, I snapped, laptop slamming shut. What if it's not enough? What if they see through to the fraud? Elena crossed the kitchen in 2 strides, pulling me from the chair into her lap on the floorboards. Fraud? Mi amor, you're the realest thing I've touched. Her hands, steady as shutter clicks, cupped my face, green eyes locking. Every word's a brick in the wall you tore down. Own it. We stayed there till noon, her stories of botched shoots, wasted film, ruined negatives, reminding me perfection's a thief. By afternoon, revisions flowed freer, infused with her grit. Summer swelled with obligations, book launch in Albuquerque, crowds pressing for signings, questions probing like scalpels. "How'd you know?" a teen asked, voice quaver. I glanced at Elena, hovering stage side, her nod a anchor. A storm showed me. And her. Applause thundered. Afterward, in the green room, she kissed my temple. Star. But fame's glare scorched, tabloid whispers from Chicago days resurfacing, jilted groom's revenge, painted me villain. Mom called, voice tight. "Ignore the noise, honey. We're proud." Still, doubt festered. Nights, I'd wake sweating, dreaming of Mark's hurt eyes. Elena sensed it, planned a reset. A week in the backcountry, packs light, no signal. We hiked the Pecos wilderness, boots crunching talus, air thin and clarifying. Atop treacherous peak, elevation clawing lungs, the view humbled. Endless ridges folding to horizon, wind singing ancient songs. We camped in a cirque, tent pitched against boulder, cooking ramen over whisper light, stars a canopy of fireflies. One night, aurora faint on southern fringe, rare shimmer, she pulled out marshmallows, roasting on sticks. Remember our first fire? Marshmallows charred. We laughed, sticky-fingered, then sobered. "That ring's ghost still haunts?" she asked, voice soft. I nodded, firelight gilding her face. Not you. Me, the girl who wore it. Confession spilled. Therapy sessions unpacking internalized shame, letters to younger self forgiving the hiding. Elena listened, then shared her own. Panic attacks post-divorce, nights questioning if love was curse. "We carry the breaks," she said, "but they don't define the mend." Under that alien glow, we made love on bedrolls, slow and sacred, bodies attuned like instruments. Dawn's light found us renewed, packs shouldered for descent. Fall brought harvest and harvest of self. The book hit shelves, reviews lauding visceral valor, sales climbing. We hosted readings at the cabin, porch lantern strung, locals gathering with potluck, voices rising in echo. A neighbor, grizzled rancher, pulled me aside. "My daughter's like you. Thanks for the words." Tears pricked, Elena's arm around my waist grounded. But expansion tugged. Offers for adjunct teaching in Denver, tempting stability. What if we tried city for a spell? I broached over breakfast, pancakes flipping golden. Her fork paused, eyes searching. If it's us, anywhere's home. But roots run deep here. Tension simmered days, snapped words over chores, silences heavy as thunderheads. Culminated one eve, rain lashing windows, me pacing. I'm scared of stagnating, Elena. Of us becoming safe. She stood, rain slick from chores, hurt flashing. Safe? This, gesturing wild, is safe? Loving you through storms? Voices rose, old wounds airing, her fear of abandonment, my chase for validation. Storm-broken sobs. We collapsed on the rug, apologies weaving. I need you, not the chase, I whispered. Then stay present, she replied, and we'll grow wild together. Winter wrapped us gentle, snow insulating against worlds in book tour wrapped in blizzards, cancelled flights stranding in motels, Elena's voice on speaker a tether. Homecoming was feast, her venison stew, my bad puns. We skied cross-country trails, powder yielding under skies of lapis, her whoops echoing. One powder day, caught in whiteout near Treeline, visibility nil, pulse spiked, echo of that first storm. Follow my voice, she called, pole planting steady. We burst clear, exhilarated, collapsing in drifts. Our metaphor, I gasped, her glove peeling to lace fingers. Spring's thaw mirrored ours. Therapy deepening, couple sessions unpacking layers. Rosa visited, bringing seedlings, plant dreams, watch them root. We gardened, knees muddied, plotting expansions, a studio for workshops, greenhouse for year-round green. Dad's trip west cemented, fishing the Rio Grande, his casts awkward, stories flowing freer. Your mom's coming next. Bookshelves need filling. Heart swelled, bridges building. Summer's heatwave tested, wildfires edging forests, smoke hazing sun to orange. Evac alerts pinged. We packed essentials, cabin a blur in rear view. Safe in Taos, radio crackling updates, Elena's hand gripped mine. We'll rebuild, she vowed. Flames spared us, but ash blanketed. Cleansing, reminder of fragility. Post-fire, community rallied. Potlucks for displaced, our cabin hosting stragglers. One family, lesbian moms, kid wide-eyed, stayed weeks, their gratitude fueled. Fall gilded leaves to flame. Book 2 brewed. Fiction now, our cabin as backdrop, heroines mirroring us. Elena's solo exhibit in NYC loomed. I tagged, city pulse thrilling yet overwhelming. Galleries hummed, critics fawned, but subways choked, horns blared. Hotel nights, her body my quiet. Missed the quiet already, she admitted post-show. Then let's make noise our way, I countered, plodding homeward. Winter solstice circled, bonfire larger, kin multiplied. I read from the new manuscript, words weaving firelight. Elena's gift, a locket with cabin dirt, grounded in you. Mine, vows etched on leather, through every season. As snow fell soft, we danced, world shrinking to two. Love, we'd learned, wasn't absence of storm, but dancing in it, close, unyielding, alive. The second book birthed in labor pains, drafts shredded, characters rebelling like wayward lovers. Your heroes to me, Elena teased over coffee, red penning margins in our sunlit kitchen, the cabin's bones now fleshed with rugs woven by local artists, walls hung with her framed wilds. I groaned, but her insight sharpened. Let her stumble real, like us. Months blurred, mornings writing to birdsong, afternoons hiking with notebook, trails dictating plot turns, switchbacks for conflicts, meadows for respite. She edited evenings, feet in my lap, wine loosening critiques to caresses. Launch coincided with Pride in Denver, rainbow streets pulsing, floats thundering bass. We marched, hands linked, my reading at a queer bookstore packed shoulder to shoulder. To the women who held me when I couldn't, I dedicated, eyes on Elena front row, her nod steel. After, bar hopping with revelers, shots burning, her whisper in my ear. Proud of your roar. But crowds drained, we fled to the truck, city lights receding, her hand on my thigh as miles unspooled. Home by midnight, we tumbled into bed, Pride's energy translating to urgent touches, bodies slick with sweat and sequins. Yet joy's underbelly lurked, Mom's cancer diagnosis hit like blindside. Breast, early, treatable, but terror-gripped. I flew east. Elena's go. I'm here echoing. Chicago's sterile halls echoed old ghosts. Mom frail in gown, Dad pacing. Should have called sooner, she chided weakly, but squeezed my hand. Seeing you happy. That's medicine. Weeks shuttled. Chemo vigils, my readings canceled. Elena's nightly calls bomb. Breathe with me, she'd say, guiding inhales over line. Return found me hollow. She met at gate. No words, just arms enveloping till sobs subsided. Healing wove slow. Mom's remission letters, tentative plans for New Mexico visit. Elena planned diversions. Hot spring soak in Ojo Caliente, mud caking skin like armor shed. Bubbling waters soothed, steam veiling talks. My guilt over wasted years, her worry of burden. We're load bearers, she said, fingers tracing vertebrae. Stronger twined. Post-soak, desert drive, windows down to yucca bloom, radio crooning Melissa Etheridge, anthem to our hidden anthems. Summer scorched, cabin a refuge, AC humming, fans whirring as we hosted writers' retreat. Cabins dotted the property now, tiny homes for guests, revenue trickling. Attendees arrived, butches with manuscripts, femmes with fire, circles under stars sharing arcs of arc. One night, bonfire confessional, a trans writer broke. Your book's map for my maze. Tear circled, Elena's guitar strummed solace, chords resolving like hugs. But expansion strained, bookings overflowed, maintenance mounting. Argument erupted over budget, me pushing solar panels, her fretting cash flow. Dream big, but feet grounded, she snapped, tools clanging. Stormed out to darkroom, door shut. I paced porch, regret churning, then slipped in chemical tang sharp. Sorry, I murmured, arms circling from back, scared of failing us. Her sigh deflated, turned, kiss salty. We build together. Always. Fall's palette ignited, aspen groves aflame, harvest moon rising fat. Mom arrived, suitcase wheels crunching gravel, Dad trailing with fly rods. Cabin tour awed. Cozy as your stories, she said, settling by hearth. Evenings Rosa joined, kitchens colliding, green chili stew meets Illinois hot dish, laughter bridging. Dad and Elena fished at dawn, returns boastful with trout. Mom and I hiked, wildflowers nodding secrets. She's your match, Mom confided, linking arms. Don't let fear rewrite this. Thanksgiving feast sprawled, tables extended under strung lights, kin from both worlds mingling, Mateo's toast spotty, Dad's dry wit sparking. Post-meal walks, frost nipping, Elena and I lagged, hands swinging. Family's messy miracle, she said. Nodded. Ours, patchwork perfect. Winter gripped fierce, blizzards blanketing, roads closing. We shoveled solidarity, neighbors checking in via snowcat. Power outages tested, propane lanterns, board games by candle. One gale howling night, cabin creaking, we burrowed deep, her stories of Abuela's blizzard tales lulling. Survived worse, she murmured, spooning close. Morning's bluebird sky rewarded, cross-country skis gliding fresh powder. Book 3 germinated in quiet, memoir fiction hybrid, delving our cabin origins. Elena illustrated prelims, sketches capturing essence, embrace by fire, ring glinting last. But publisher pushed trauma arc, chafing. Not tragedy, I argued in calls. Triumph. Her support fortified, mock-ups pinned, critiques gentle. Launch loomed spring, but first anniversary, cabin's first full year. Marked with ritual. Hike to our overlook, champagne chilled in pack. Snow lingered patches, but thaw whispered. Toasting at edge, wind tousling, to storms that stayed. I said. Her kiss sealed, deep as canyons. Descended hand in clasp, future unfolding. Spring bloomed defiant. Retreat full. Gardens erupting greens. Mom's follow-up clear. Her visit cemented, promising returns. Elena's solo book, photo essay on queer landscapes, inked deal. Our desks abuzz synergy. Summer's solstice bonfire. Larger circle, new faces. The trans writer, now published, toasting origins. Guitar past, songs rising, closer to fine, harmonies weaving. Fire dyed embers, we lingered, sparks mirroring souls. Love, in its seasons, proved no fairy dust but fertile soil, nurtured, tilled, yielding boundless. Midsummer heat wave baked the high desert, mirages dancing on blacktop as Elena and I loaded the truck for a book tour swing, Albuquerque to Austin, my readings paired with her pop-up exhibits. The cabin receded in dust cloud, windows shuttered against intruders, our absence a brief breath. Highway hummed, radio scanning indie stations, her hand drumming my knee to Indigo Girls riffs. Texas queer heartland, she grinned, map unfolded. Prepare for hospitality overload. Albuquerque kicked off electric, signing lines snaking bookstore aisles, fans clutching dog-eared copies, stories spilling. Your cabin chapter saved my coming out, one said, tattoo of snowy peaks peeking sleeve. Elena's booth hummed, prints vanishing, her charms sealing deals. Evenings, we crashed in Airbnbs, takeout sprawled, debriefing highs. The non-binary poets collab pitch, the elders hug. But miles wore. Arguments over routes, exhaustion fraying. One midnight motel stop, after a grueling drive I lashed, "This pace is killing the joy." She fired back, pushing boundaries, not coddling. Silence iced. Then, her sigh bridged. "Miss our quiet. Let's carve space." Dieter decided. Side trip to Big Bend. Wild respite. Park's vastness swallowed, canyons yawning rust-red, Rio Grande snaking silver. Hiked Santa Elena Canyon, walls soaring, river murmuring secrets. At a bend, pack dropped, we swam. Water shock cold, laughter echoing. Emerged dripping, sun drying skin, her fingers combing tangles. "This," she said, gesturing expanse, "is us, wild, uncharted." Night in primitive camp, stars carpet dense, coyotes yip, we made love under open sky, bodies earth-anchored, cosmos witness. Austin pulsed vibrant, South by Southwest fringes queer, panels packed. My talk on love's cartography drew cheers, Elena's projections lit venue, images, sinking words. After party swirled, drinks flowing, connections sparking. A producer cornered. Screenplay potential? Flattery buzzed, but home tugged. Tour wrapped triumphant, sails soaring, but return to cabin felt like exhale. Dust bunnies greeted, gardens overgrown, but ours. Fall's equinox brought harvest, chiles roasted, Restrass hanging porch rafters red. Retreat cohort returned, now family, potlucks under harvest moon, manuscripts shared. One eve, lightning storm rolled, thunder rumbling like applause. Power flickered, we gathered loft, stories by lantern. Ghosts of exes, triumphs snatched. Elena's guitar wove melody, my voice joining chorus. But cracks spidered, Elena's knee twinged from hikes, doc visit urging rest. Old climbing injury, she downplayed, but I saw flinch in her stride. Pushed PT, her resistance bristling independence. Not fragile, she snapped during session. Hurt flared, didn't say. Just care. Chilled standoff, thawed over tea, her admission. Scared of slowing, of losing edge. Hug tight. Your edge's heart, not haste. Compromise, adaptive yoga, trails paced gentle. Mom's visit deepened. Treatment done. She dove in, baking apple pies in adobe oven, hikes with walking stick. This air heals, she marveled, sage smoke trailing. Evenings, porch rockers creaking, dad's tales of factory days, mingling Rose's border lore. Blended like good stew, dad grunted approving. Winter's grip loosened early, freak warm spell melting drifts, mud season mucking boots. Book 3 finalized, cover reveal, cabin silhouette against aurora, title, Thaw. Edits final, Elena's illustrations integral. Launch planned house, intimate, friends, family, fire pit after. But shadow loomed, Carla's return, uninvited, email escalating to calls, reconnect for old times. Elena deleted, but poison seeped, late nights distant, photos abandoned. Confronted gently, talk more. Floodgates, resentment unearthed, Carla's barbs echoing doubts. What if I'm not enough post her glow? Tears, my arm's fortress. You're the glow. Therapy tandem, unpacking, emerge tighter, vows renewed casual. Through echoes, too. Spring erupted, lilacs perfuming, bees droning. Cabin expansions, guest house framed, funded by royalties. Workshops bloomed, online now reaching coasts. A student breakthrough. Your prompts unlocked me. Ripple widened. Summer solstice ritual evolved. Dawn hike, sunrise toast, day of creation. Elena sculpted clay, our hands intertwined, form abstract love. I penned poem, etched stone. In every season you're north. Heat peaked, wildfires nipped again, alerts vigilant. Community drills, go bags packed, neighbors networked. Spared once more, gratitude bonfire, songs, esmores, toasts to resilience. Fall wove gold, leaves carpeting trails, harvest festivals calling. Mom's second visit, dad too, turkey fry mishaps, laughter loud. Rose's kin swelled table, tamale steaming. Winter whispered, first snow blanketing gentle, cabin aglow. Anniversary hike, snowshoes crunching to overlook. Champagne popped, bubbles fizzing cold air. 2 years woven, she said, locket glinting. My turn, and infinite threads ahead. Love's loom, we learned, thread storms to sun, tapestry richer for phrase. The guest house rose like a sibling to our cabin, smaller, sage-green siding blending with pinion, a nod to wanderers seeking pause. Dedication ceremony drew crowd, locals toasting with margaritas, Elena's hammer strike symbolic last nail. Sanctuary extension. I quipped in speech, book 4 percolating, anthology, voices curated from retreats. Submissions flooded, stories searing. Transmigrations, by awakenings, elder wisdoms. Editing nights stretched, Elena's lap my pillow, her fingers massaging temples. Summer's zenith scorched. We escaped north, Yellowstone Loop, geysers erupting like emotions long suppressed. Boarded horses through Lamar Valley, bison lumbering indifferent, her braids swinging rhythm. Campfire tales swapped with rangers, wolf reintroductions mirroring comebacks. One dusk, hot spring soak, steam cloaking, she traced my palm. Fortune says adventure. Laughter bubbled, night tent sipped, stars pinprick, love urgent as prairie wind. Return sweltered, irrigation ditches rushing, gardens thriving. Retreat peak season, cohorts overlapping, laughter echoing woods. A fire circle breakthrough, group poem, lines chaining like hands. Elena documented, lens capturing raw. But health's whisper grew. Elena's knees swelled post-hike, MRI looming. Wait nod, doc's word, torn meniscus, surgery minor. Out in weeks, he assured. Her bravado cracked drive home. Hate sidelines. Kitchen console. We'll sideline together. Me reading, you bossing. Surgery day, sterile wait. Her groggy thumbs up post-op melted me. Recovery cocoon. Cabin bed fort. Soup simmered. Rom-com marathons. Her impatience sparked. Cabin fever literal. Hikes morphed wheelchair trails. Wildflowers at eye level new. Fall's palette deepened. Anthology proofs. Forward penned heartfelt. Mom's autumn sojourn. Leaf-peeping drives. Her sketchpad capturing vistas. Art in blood, she said. Elena's influence. Dad fish solo now. Returns laden. Tales embellished. Blended thanks. Turkey smoked, green chili twist. Tables groaning unity. Winter's hush. Snow sculpting drifts. Elena's rehab strengthening stride. Book launch anthology. Towson, room aglow candles. Contributors reading excerpts. Standing ovation for a survivor's piece. Tears collective. After, fire pit unwind. Stars confetti. Spring surge. Elena cleared for full hikes. Victory lap Truchas Peak. Summit kiss. Wind triumphant. Guest house booked solid. Couples healing. Solos finding. Revenue eased expansions. Solar array gleaming. But ripple from past. Mark's email. In town, coffee? Neutral ground cafe. Awkward thaw. His life settled. Adopted kid. Husband promoted. Happy for you. Genuine. Mine spilled. Cabin life. Elena's art. Jilting was gift, he admitted. Closure sweetened. Summer solstice. Ritual amplified. Group dawn circle. Anthology launch echo. Elena's sculpture fired. Placed garden sentinel. Heat haze. Wildfire's distant threat. Rain's merciful. Community picnic. Games, grills, can knit. Fall harvest. Child strung. Wines local. Mom's holiday plan. Christmas Southwest. Winter's embrace. Snowshoe moons. Elena's knee shore. Anniversary cabin revisit. Original site. Ghosts friendly. Toast. Roots and wings. Love's architecture. Beams of trial. Mortar of mercy. Dwelling eternal. Anthology's acclaim cascaded. Reviews hailing. Chorus of courage. Oprah nudge whispers. Tours mini. Santa Fe. Denver. Virtual reaches. Elena tagged select. Her pop-ups syncing. One panel. By rep spotlight. Question pierced. Regrets on straight passing? Pause. Truth. Only delaying joy. Applause. Elena's eyelock pride. Summer's dog days. Guest house humming. Stories from sojourners fueling book 5. Novel. Cabin as nexus. Intersecting lives. Outlines sprawled kitchen table. Elena's sketches animating characters. Hikes inspired. Plot knots untangled on ascents. Resolutions and descents. Monsoon season drenched. Thunderheads dumping. Arroyos raging. Cabin leaked minor. Buckets symphony. Laughter over leaks. Fixed together. Tarps taut. Bond waterproof. Fall's fire. Novel draft surged. Words 50K. Mom's Christmas arrival early. Thanksgiving prep. Her pies lattice perfect. Dad's flight delayed snow. Arrived tales of tarmac limbo. Feast epic. Venison roast. Rosa's remote tamales via courier. Post-meal. Cards marathon. Elena's poker face lethal. Winter wonder. Guest cancellations blanketed. Us snowbound bliss. Novel revisions firelit. Elena's input gold. Knee healed full. Skis waxed. Backcountry jaunts. Powder turns. Her whoop's joy. Spring's renewal. Mom's remission party. Cabin deck. Balloons bobbing. Toasts tearful. To warriors. Elena clinked. Dad's gift. Custom flybox. Engraved Harlan streams. Summer solstice. Novel query sent. Agent bites quick. Elena's exhibit national. NYC again, me escort. City assault. Subway's sardine. But her opening dazzled. Queer terrains. Our collab centerpiece. Critics raved. Sales spiked. Heatwave broke rains. Gardens lush. Harvest bounty. False blaze. Novel edits brutal. Cuts bleeding. Elena's shoulder. Walks. Pep talks. Mom's visit. Beta read. Notes gentle.
Heart sings, she said.
Winter's white. Acceptance letters cover concepts. Anniversary ski hut. Hot cocoa. Reminisce for storm. Love's narrative. Chapters of chaos. Edits to elegance. Story unending. Novel's birth roared. Title. Echoes in the evergreen. Launch fall tour whirlwind. Cities blurred. Seattle rains mirroring tears and readings, Portland's bridges spanning divides. Elena's visuals projected, deepening impact. One Q&A widow shared, "Your lost love arc my mirror." Hugs lingered, purpose pulsed. Return autumnal, leaves confetti, cabin harvest. Guest house testimonials poured, found self here. Expansions, library nook, donor funded. Mom's health vigilant, quarterly scans clear. Her Southwest sojourns regular, art classes with Elena, canvases blooming. Winter's weave, sequel seeds, short stories filling gaps. Elena's book 2, Fractured Light, trauma through lens, gain traction. Spring Symphony, Mom's painting show, tiny gallery, us front row. Beginner's bold, titled, sales surprised. Summer solstice, mega ritual, retreat alums, circle vast. Novels impact letters, lives shifted. Heat eased, wildfires contained, community vigilant. Falls flourish, Elena's wedding gig, friends union, photos our gift. Vows echoed, ours unspoken. Winter's warmth, cabin holiday, families merged, trees trimmed bicultural. Dad's stories, Rose's carols, harmony. Anniversary decade tease, wait, years stacked gentle. Love's legacy, not endpoint, but ever-unfolding path, footprints in snow, leading home.